What up, my friends? Happy Wednesday. I had to think about that. I wanted to chat with you quickly, not that quickly, but have a little drop in with a few things that I've been thinking about. I'm going to be doing a live call for everyone who's registered for the breakup course, but I want to talk about some hard truths about breakups, because I don't think that we recognize the pain and suffering that we create by not exploring pain and suffering. I'm just going to pin, what's up, Dano? Hi, what's up, Cam? Miss you, buddy. What's up, the contour room? On terrible, yeah. Canada is a whole other can of worms right now, isn't it? I mean, the world is. We'll get into that on another chat. But when we don't explore our pain, our heartbreak, we often sort of perpetuate it. And what I mean by that is we don't realize the things that are going on in our life currently that we might just see as happenstance, right? Like, I can't get to the next level of relationship with someone, or in your relationship you're constantly going through the same cycles where you're not getting to the next level. You fight about the same shit, or maybe you cheat, lie, sabotage when things are good. and it's we might be kind of lazy in the search for partnership. We might have unrealistic high standards. And I think high standards are obviously important, to have standards, to have non-negotiables, respect, kindness, character, that kind of stuff. But sometimes our standards can actually be walls that are built so high that no one will ever be able to even climb over. And you'll know that's true if you just check in with yourself. Are my standards sometimes ways of building walls to prevent connection and someone actually seeing in, being in? And of course, you could be scared of new love, be scared. And this is why I want to talk to you about that. So you might be unable to move past current levels with a partner. You might be constantly comparing people to your ex. And you might be comparing your current partner to your ex. All of these strategies are distractions from the sacred, right? Distractions from possibility. They're, any contact. I had a friend the other day who said that he still talks to a woman that he had a connection with, that there's nothing, he's not out of integrity in terms of the conversation, but he asked if that influences his connection today. And I said, well, if you're asking that, it probably does. And it does. If you are still in contact with someone who you reminisce about, you are not in integrity. You're not allowing yourself the fullness of yourself in the current relationship. And we don't really think about this, that the unexplored pain and suffering leaves us in pain and suffering. Let me explain that. If I'm used to, I'm going to try to draw this out in some way, but let's say that in my relationship, my last relationship, let's say that this is a graph of love. And here is the depth of my love, and here is the time. So as I go deeper and deeper, let's imagine that here I go through heartbreak, right? And let's say I'm 18 when that happens. It doesn't really matter. You could be 13, you could be 8. You could experience heartbreak with your parents too. So I don't want that to it's not just romantic love, it's love in general. So it's kind of like if I touch my hand to the stove and I burn my hand. I'm not supposed to touch the stove anymore, right? But what about when what you burn is your heart, and then you don't go closer to what is the heart's stove, but because we don't know how to have boundaries around it. So if the burn was being bulldozed, rejection, abandonment, not having safety or security, if we don't explore those things, we will experience an upper limit in how we love. So if this is how much I love, and this is the depth, right? And this is the time, and I hit this space, what will happen is I will build distractions, sabotage, everything to not break through this. So if I don't explore the pain and suffering of this space, then I will never surpass it. So how do you explore it? I mean, this is what I created the breakup course about, was to navigate people through 5 weeks of actually going through that, of actually the process. You know, like it's such important work. And I can't speak to this enough. When Kylie and I broke up, I had not really explored the deepest parts of my heartbreaks from my past. And so it sort of shattered me open in this totally different way, in this way that was, it was hard, and it was a dark space, but there was something really rich about it. Like, although I was certainly on the edges of grief and suffering, and I remember standing in the kitchen of a cabin I was at, and just, oh man, it was the day that the post came out to all of you that we had broken up. And oh, I was just beside myself. I was just so sad, and it just hurts so much. And I remember talking to my friend, and he's like, "Do you need me?" And I'm like, yeah, I just needed someone around me, someone beside me. And you know, these are spaces that are hard to go in alone, and we're not meant to. You know, our breakup should never be a reason that we isolate ourselves, but it often is, right? Because we may feel like no one will understand what we're going through, or, you know, we sort of isolate our suffering because maybe we feel a bit of shame, maybe we feel a bit of embarrassment about how it went down, or whatever it is. But truly, that is when community is the most important. But also, what I discovered in there was a richness that I hadn't really danced in fully before. It broke me open in so many beautiful ways. And you know, you may have heard me say before that when we go through heartbreak, right, we think that that my heart is broken, right? That the relationship ending broke my heart, right? Like as if it was this whole thing, and now it's broken in 2 pieces or 5 pieces or 1,000,000 pieces. But to me, that actually didn't conceptualize properly what was going on. What I recognized, and you might notice I closed my eyes just so I could put words to feelings. What I recognized was that I was just so open. I actually now think a broken heart is one that is not open to new love, that's not open to love. That a broken heart is literally one that has given up. And we only give up because we've experienced, obviously, severe pain, so not to minimize that. But we also give up because we keep experiencing the same outcomes, right? As if that relationship ending is indicative to you failing in some way. But the relationship ending is not indicative of failure. Now, of course, we contribute to our relationship outcome. So perhaps I didn't communicate well. Perhaps I cheated. Perhaps I lied. Perhaps I didn't say the right thing, or I didn't handle that situation right, or I should have left earlier and I didn't, or whatever it is, right? There's all these I shoulda, coulda, woulda. And what happens is that in that space, we don't explore those things. We don't explore, like, the fact that my self-worth is somehow on the line because my relationship ended, as opposed to recognizing that if someone leaves you and you are left devastated and you feel like a shell of yourself, like you lost part of you, you must start to inquire, what did you give them that was you? What part of your wholeness did you place in the relationship status, as opposed to you showing up in a relationship? And if the relationship ends, that actually can indicate that you have things that you need to work on, but it doesn't actually speak to your worth. It doesn't speak to your worth. Your worth is not connected to your relational outcome. And if you connect it to your relational outcome, that's important. And that's important that the breakup happened, because you need to recognize that your worth somehow lives in your relational outcomes and your relational status. And then you want to explore, who fucking taught me that? Who taught me that when my relationship ends, I'm there's something wrong with me, as opposed to the relationship, as opposed to the patterns, opposed to the way we communicate, as opposed to our combination of two people that somehow are trying to make something work that is seemingly not working. Why is that not wisdom and intelligence? That we recognize that it is an ending. And you know what was, of course, it's easier said than done. That's the whole purpose, because everyone does the easier thing. The harder thing is to go within it, to explore it, to discover it, to ask what we need to explore from that, what we need to learn. If I keep getting heartbroken, I might explore what is the pain trying to teach me. What skills do I need to learn? What boundaries do I need to draw around myself? Where do I give myself away? Right? And we were all taught this. We were all taught this. You know, it's like a look at our relational experiences. You watch people break up and we hear that they're failures, or their families get rid of them. Or, you know, I have a friend who's a Jehovah's Witness. He hasn't talked to his parents in 14 years because he got divorced. Are you fucking kidding me? All because they're so afraid of divorce themselves, because someone said that relational endings mean God says you're not enough. What God places the love of you in something that is seemingly so not in your control fully, right? So you could be in an abusive, destructive, shitty relationship where your partner doesn't show up or make any effort or take you for granted or whatever it is, and you're going to fight to keep that thing together because some God, some person said your worth lives in you holding that very impossible thing together, as opposed to your worth is in you saying no more. You saying, I need to learn from this. I need to explore this. I need to expand from this. And then you're breaking hereditary patterns. You're breaking generations of people who shut the fuck up and just stayed and just tolerated and just endured. Look, relationships are challenging. Love is not just we get each other and everything's bliss and happily ever after. It is challenging. It's great partners. They fight. They just fight fair. They fight differently. They fight in a way that is about expansion, and they have humility. They say, I did that wrong. I'm sorry. Where's my role in this? Oh, and man, every time I got to do that, it's like eating my own shoe. But I'll tell you what love is not. It is not self-abandonment. It's self-expansion. Relationships are not where you go to be less of who you are. They're where you go to become more of who you are. And if your religion teaches you that something is flawed about you and it's connected to your relational status, your religion has been co-opted in order to control and create security and not have reflections of their own self-abandonment. If your religion or culture teaches you that you must endure abuse to be in relationship, it's not real, it's not true. And I could tell you a lot of ways that the truth is coming alive today. And systems are at war. And one of the systems that keeps you small and keeps you stuck, whether you're male or female or anything in between, is relationship. And so if you wake up, and I'm not saying that you can't have beautiful things about God and spirituality. Listen, when you recognize that you are connected to me and we go through the same types of challenges and pain, we are now unified. We now see that I was listening to a podcast from Russell Brand the other day with an activist, I forget his name, but he said that you can't fight for equality in anything and not fight for the planet. They are not separate things. And that's why when you wake up to the relational patterns that you've been in, you will be free, but you will see many systems, many patterns. You'll start to ask questions. How did I get here? Why the fuck wasn't I awake paying attention all along? Why did I stay so long? Who taught me that? Why did I leave too soon? Who taught me that? Who taught me that I'm supposed to endure abuse or pain or whatever it is as opposed to challenges, right? And so Your work is to be in integrity with you. Your work is to be in alignment with who you are. And your work is to fight for that, to fight for you. Your work is to use heartbreak as a transformational process to bring you into a space that you've never been before. Your pain is inviting you to wake the fuck up and finally claim yourself, and finally claim what you love, finally claim who you are, and finally stand in the power of what you truly want. I call this create the love, not fall into the love or just get lucky in love. I call it create the love because you can create it. Listen, when Kylie and I broke up, here's a truth that I knew for certain, 100%, that no matter what person entered my life next, I could create a beautiful relationship with them. Didn't matter. As long as they were open to taking responsibility for themselves and growth and transformation, we could create relationship. And so when you get stuck on it needing to be someone that holds you back from being open to someone new today, when you get stuck on old stories, when you haven't let go of your ex, and whatever, maybe more than one, you are not in alignment with yourself. You're not free. You're letting the past dictate your future. And so you can choose. Are you going to go through the process of releasing that with grace, with depth, with exploration, so that you can show up fully today and reclaim who you are? That's it. Breakups are the gateway, one of the most potent. They aren't the only one. It can be any rock bottom. Just breakups are just so common, and I feel like humans are willing to do different things for love. They're willing to do different things for heartbreak. They're willing to save themselves in this one space where you say, I never want to feel hurt again. Listen, if you love someone, you're going to feel pain. The goal of life is not to not experience any suffering. Suffering's part of life. The goal is to stay intact and to expand through it. Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, said that to live is to suffer, but to survive is to find meaning in your suffering. And so this isn't an absence of pain. This is, it's not what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is grow through it and become something from it, to give it meaning and purpose. So can you use the reminiscing that you have, the upper limiting that you have, the ways you fucked up in relationship, because you have, we all have, can you use it to expand yourself and finally say, enough's enough? You can, but you have to choose. And so life will present you with repeated heartbreaks and repeated patterns till you say, I no longer want that pattern. That what you desire to create a relationship that you crave is more important than you avoiding your shit. Because I could tell you what you think is shit, and it stinks, because we all got shit that stinks, like literally true too. It's actually fertilizer. It's fertilizer. If you are willing to sit through the stinkiness of it and let it marinate on top of you, put on a soul diaper and let it hit your skin and get into it and let it grow you. As Francis Weller would say, let it cook you. Because here's simply how it works. This is simply it. If you're making choices that are at this level of consciousness, we might say, but let's just say they're toxic choices, and this person is not toxic, you have to become not toxic to get there. If you grow and you expand yourself and you're here and someone toxic comes along, but you've smelt and got into your shit, rubbed it on your skin, let it cook you. You learned what toxicity was, what you no longer want. This won't even be in your zone. You won't know, because you got to come down to get there. But if you're down here right now, all you got to do, right? It's so simple. It is actually simple. Is you have to explore it, and you have to go into it, and it will elevate you. It will continue to expand you. So that's the process of consciously going through a breakup. And you'll explore what closure is, how to get it for yourself, how to learn from your past relationships. It is 5 weeks of you standing up for what you finally want and guiding you in your values and actually creating, going from heartbroken, from in pain. This isn't about making you healed and dancing in a room with no thought of your ex ever again. That's not the point. The point is for you to recognize that you, from the beginning of the 5 weeks till the end, will be a different person. You will be a boundaried person. You will learn from your pain. And so if you go to breakuprebirth.com, you can sign up. Tomorrow I'm doing a live call. So tomorrow's Thursday. If you're watching this on Thursday, I'm doing a live call with all the people who are registered with the course. I see Mish there. I took the course. It works, right? It does work. I went through it myself. That's how I created it. And I did not stay in contact with Kylie during our breakup. We had a connection of let's not talk for 3 months, I think it was, the first time. We did a closing ceremony. I go through that in the course, and you don't need your partner to do that. And you know, we didn't talk till the 3 months was up, and then we checked in again, and we started talking a bit, and then ended that conversation again, and set more boundaries. And I really learned a lot about myself through that process, through exploring that, through really expanding in that space. So this is recorded. It'll be saved. I mean, I just want you to know that I meet you in the space, you know, of pain, of even if it's just that you reminisce or that there's an ex that's kind of nudging at you, there's something to explore there, you know? And it all holds us back from going into deeper depths, deeper intimacy, deeper connection. So I just want to meet you in that space and say, oof, I remember how hard the immediate part of the heartbreak is, and to say you are open now. And so if you're open and you've got pain, you can use that to transform you. It can be the moment that everything changes. What a beautiful reason. Then that person can be the thing that woke you up. The pain can, what a purpose, what meaning. And, you know, someone asked what that quote was, which is, to live is to suffer, but to survive is to find meaning in your suffering. That's Viktor Frankl, the book Man's Search for Meaning. Incredible book. There's value. What if you've completely split just yet, but it's in the works. If you need to process the breakup, it's not just, the conversation about how to do the closing ceremony is just part of it. It's about how to process endings and go through them. You're not just exploring one ending, you're exploring all your significant relationships, and that's not just based on time. It's based on your own experience of significance. And you're walked through from that process to the end where you're designing what you actually want. So much love. We all got this. If you're on here and you needed to hear this, you're in the right place at the right time. And you know, we always say, like, just show me a message. Not that one. I don't like that one. And so if this is your message in whatever way that is, I see you. And you've got this. And you're supported. And there's a whole community on here. So much love. Talk soon.